I was like, can you just tell me what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And you kind of were hesitant because people do have some customization, but you also told me that it's okay to actually eat the same things each day, give or take, with the little switch. And you did tell me the food parts with the upping the veggies, upping the proteins, but you also kept telling me that we had some thought work to do. And I was like, oh, here's where it comes in. I need it, but I don't want it.
Welcome to the Total Health and Midlife Podcast, the podcast for women over 40 who want peace with food, ease in their habits, and a body that they don't have to fight with. Do you ever feel like you know what to do for your health, but actually doing it? Now that's the hard part. Today on the Total Health and Midlife Podcast, I am talking with a former client of mine, Lanee, and now a dear friend. She's a podcaster, a speaker, a screenwriter, and overall just brilliant, hilarious, and deeply thoughtful woman. In today's episode, we are pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to create sustainable health habits in midlife, especially when life is like super busy. Lanee opens up about the personal mindset shifts that she made while we were working together, not just around food and movement, but around who she needs to become in order to manage her stress, stay grounded, and actually enjoy her life while pursuing her health goals. So, if you've ever struggled with vacation eating and that all or nothing mentality, if you've ever felt trapped between wanting to be healthy and wanting to be present with loved ones, or if you've ever wondered why you keep self-sabotaging even though you know better, you are gonna love today's episode. We talk about the concept of bare minimums, why thought work matters even when you don't want to do it, and how Lanee finally made peace with food, her body, and her calendar, all without ditching joy, travel, or connection. This one's a mix of honest reflection, real world strategies, and just two midlife women keeping it all the way real. You are not going to want to miss it. So let's get into it. All right, everyone, welcome Lanee to the show. Lanee, I am so incredibly excited that you're here and you're going to talk to everyone about your experience and who you are and all things health. So, first of all, introduce yourself, tell everyone where we met, and we'll start there.
Perfect. I am Lanee Blaise, fan of Elizabeth Sherman, not just from the podcast, but from actual help, the help and the benefit that she's given being a coach for me. So as far as what I do ordinarily is I am a fellow podcaster. Our podcast I co-host with Sandy Kovac is called Imagine Yourself. And Imagine Yourself podcast is an inspirational podcast. We've been going for 7 years now. That's actually how I met Elizabeth. She was a guest, an expert guest on our show. And it's one of those things where it was wonderful to get all of the information when she was giving tips and advice on Imagine Yourself. But I knew I needed one-on-one. I needed to go that extra step. And I'm so grateful I did because now not only do we know each other from podcasts, I'm on yours now. I have all these great tips, but I feel like I can go to you anytime if I need to and ask for a little refresher on things because life changes, health changes, and we all need somebody who knows what they're talking about to go to. So that is a little about me. I also realized when I had kind of more of a change in career and began with television and movie screenwriting and producing, I really needed an overhaul. So that's what I've been up to. I had done a TV project and a film project just in the past year, and we're about to do 2 more film projects. So, whew, it's been busy.
That's amazing. Well, and so one of the reasons that I started my podcast is because when I started as a coach, I would work with my client on a specific concept, and then I would send them to someone else's podcast to go and learn more about the specific topic that we were coaching on within our session. And it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I should be able to do that. And so now, and why I think this is important is because we've been in session together. And when you are on a coaching call, you get the gist of what the coach is trying to say, but sometimes you need a little bit of refresher after you get off the call, right? And
Yes.
so that's where this podcast actually really helps to solidify the concepts that I teach within our sessions.
True. Okay, so like for example, I know there were certain terms that you started to introduce to me, like bare minimums, and you were explaining some high level things to me, and I needed to be able to see how that fit into my exact life. And yeah, listening back to because my you have hundreds of podcast episodes, but you would be able to direct me to the specific ones that we talked about during that session that were going to be beneficial for what I needed at that point. And I appreciate that. And it's especially even as a podcaster, I get that. I get it.
Well, and the other thing I was going to say is that I love it that we met through a podcast that I was a guest on yours, and we've stayed in contact for so many years now. And it's so interesting. I've been on like 100 different podcasts at least. And there are very few hosts that I still keep in contact with. And I've been in contact all along this time with both you and with Sandy. Like her little cat is so incredibly cute.
Yes. No, that, but also remember we talk about, and that's gonna, I know we're gonna talk about this later too. We talk about all kinds of things. We don't, it's not just that I get in touch with you to ask you about certain things with health and nutrition, but we talk about things with our businesses and development. You've had a coffee chat Zooms with me. It We've talked about family members that I have who live in Mexico, and how they can transition from living in America and then moving to Mexico. It's a full-bodied approach, and I just feel like that is become an underrated thing in this society. When you I mean, I know that there's holistic doctors and things like that, but a holistic approach to friendship, to professional relationships, to health, to everything. It's just think about more than just, and I'm actually, I hate to say it, Elizabeth, I'm a very like straightforward, how do I get from point A to point B? And I'm learning that that is not the goal of this life. It is not just a life of getting from point A to point B all the time. There's more to it.
I was just thinking about that this morning that I don't know, I was doing something and it's always so interesting to me when I stop myself and I'm like, no, remember, Elizabeth, enjoy the ride, like enjoy the process. It's not just about checking something off of your to-do list. When you can actually, when you can really enjoy the process and I can't say it another way, but and it feels so awkward, but when you can really experience the journey on the way there, it's everything that you're learning that actually ends up to you accomplishing the goal.
That is true, but I must admit that it is not necessarily fun doing it that way. Like,
No.
I feel like we can say that in hindsight, but when we're doing it, I know my daughter would get so upset with me when I would say, I'm going to be happy once I finish filming this film project.
Right.
And she's like, okay, you're going to be filming that for like a month. I'm like, yep. Then after it's done, I'll be happy. And she's like, "So there's no part of you during the filming of it that's gonna be exciting or new or fun or refreshing, and then you're not gonna even allow yourself to be happy until it's over?" And these are some of the things that Elizabeth Sherman that you taught me to be aware of and to try to change. Um You asked me the biggest thing ever, which I will never ever forget. I've talked about this on my own podcast so much, but that question where you asked me, it was kind of, and you can make sure you correct me if you need to, but it was like, who do you need to be, Lanee, to
Mhm.
get through this big upcoming season with the film? And it was going to be my husband's 50th birthday, and it was going to be Christmas, and it was going to be a whole lot going on. Who do I need to be to make it through that in a sane, comfortable, smooth manner, and in a way where I'm not just rushing to get to the end of it? Because who wants to like rush to the end of Christmas and have it hopefully hurry up and be over, and have my husband's birthday hopefully hurry up and be over, and have my little Christmas movie that we're filming just hurry up and be over? That's not how we're supposed to live.
Right. Oh, I love that. Well, and it's very true for health too. Like for everyone who's listening right now who might have a weight goal, for example, we do all of the things to get to the lower weight, but who do we have to be at the end in order to maintain that weight? How do we need to look at ourselves, food, our bodies, our relationships with others so that I can maintain that? Right?
Yeah. And that is not something that is taught, especially not in books. You grab a book and it teaches you a diet to maintain, or 8-minute abs to do each
Right.
day, or walk
Yeah.
10
Just
minutes
do
a day.
this, don't do that.
Do this, not that. Eat this, not that.
Right.
And you taught me that's not going to be the sustainable answer. That may get me to the goal, but it likely won't keep me there, and it won't kind of nourish who I am as a person moving forward. And that's the part again with the who I have to be. I have to be a thinker. And I did not want to be a thinker, Elizabeth.
Well,
I
so, okay,
did.
we just went really deep really quickly. Let's
Yeah.
back up a little
Okay.
bit
Okay. Yes. Yeah. 'Cause we went
and
through
talk
like,
about
living
like,
life. We talked about everything. Yeah.
these are the
Yes.
conversations that you get to have with me.
Yes. Yes.
So let's start from the beginning. Why did you reach out to me and want to coach with me?
So at least I had that little preview, that little appetizer course with you being on Imagine Yourself podcast. Then I would see your posts on LinkedIn and Instagram, and the newsletter. I subscribed to your newsletter, that I get the emails. And I just started to see this lady does things differently. She very likely has some things up her sleeves that have to address questions that I have about intermittent fasting, about nutrition, about fitness. But she has some other things that she mentions that address the situation that I'm a middle-aged woman, which is its own unique category. I realized that I was going through some hormonal things with menopause. I knew that you could address that, but I also knew that with this life-changing stuff that I was going to be doing, when you're a producer and you're on set for several days, it's long hours, it's hard, it's the food situation is tricky, like there's pizza a lot, or not eating. It's very wonky, and I wanted to prepare myself so that I could be the best optimum condition to make it through. So all that put together is why I said I believe that I need some training. I like learning to a point. I don't want to overdo it. And I like thinking to a point. I don't want to overthink. But I knew that I didn't know enough to stop myself from possibly ballooning up with inflammation and weight and frustration and hormones while on set, and nobody wants that. So that's why I reached out to you.
Okay. And you were also struggling, if I remember correctly, with some additional weight gain that you were struggling to get off. You had previously hired a nutritionist to help you with some environmental things in your house. Yeah.
Environmental things in my house and some foods. She introduced a lot of fun vegetables or or ways to prepare food in healthier, fun ways. And I will always be grateful to her for that. And she explained some of the biology of foods and combinations and things like that. Also imperative. But there was still something missing. There was still something that I couldn't quite get right and I knew wouldn't be sustainable. And that's when I said, okay, I reached out to you because I could tell by the way that you wrote the information in your post that there was something mentally and like not just the physiological component that I was going to have to focus on. I didn't really want to, but I'd much prefer formula A plus B equals C, and then you're good. But you just kept, I kept seeing these posts, and it was really telling me it's not just that.
Well, but that's so funny because when you came to me, you just wanted me to tell you what to do. You wanted me to give you a meal plan,
Yep.
right?
And that's that part between knowing what you need and doing what you need. Like I knew from the post that I knew I needed that other component, but I'm like, maybe magically fairyland. Because I really was like, just tell me what you eat each day and how you do
Yes,
it.
I
And I
remember
will
that.
repeat that. Do you remember that? I was like, can you just tell me what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? And you kind of were hesitant because you people do have some customization, but you also told me that it's okay to actually eat the same things each day, give or take, with the little switch. And you did tell me the food parts with the upping the veggies, upping the proteins, but you also kept telling me that we had some thought work to do. I was like, oh, here's where it comes in. I need it, but I don't want it,
Yeah,
but it
so
helped.
why okay, so what Lanee is talking about is so one of the questions that she specifically asked me, I remember this, is you asked me, "Should I eat full fat yogurt or can I eat full fat yogurt or do I have to eat fat-free yogurt?"
Yep,
Do you remember that conversation?
I do. I do because I would do the
And
Greek
what did you
yogurt.
walk away with that?
I walked away with, we've got to be careful how we answer that question because based on some of the other foods in the day, I definitely knew that the Greek plain yogurt was great. What am I adding to that yogurt? So, and that your body does need some fats to make sure that your brain and body feels satiated. So it wasn't just a pat answer. And you taught me a lot of things biologically and so that I can know the way that the system is going, but you gave me a lot of permission to, once I got certain things understood and down pat and I could repeat those things, but that I would still have the other leg of the race to go. It's I guess it's like the triathlon. Okay, just because you swam across the river, you still have to do the bicycle part and you still have to do the the running part, which in my case was I did get the nutrition part down and you gave me some tips on the fitness part, but I was still going to have to go through some of the why I wanted to eat certain things or why I wanted to eat them at certain times or why I wasn't willing or able to stop certain cravings or why I would get tempted by certain things that my husband would bring up that I didn't really wouldn't have even eaten on my own, or we had to talk about another person in this world who is vacay Lanee. Vacay Lanee is the when Lanee goes on vacation, She cuts up. We had to and I know there's a whole lot of people out there who are vacay Ellen or vacay Sherry out there too who are like, "Yeah, yeah, I know her."
Yeah, so, okay, explain to everyone listening, who is vacay Lanee?
Vacay Lanee is a choice that regular Lanee makes to turn into somebody else who's on vacation, who drinks alcohol whenever she feels like it, who eats whatever she feels like, who does not have a care in the world about stretching, exercising, eating a vegetable, or anything. And vacay Lanee I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. So a couple of days that might be okay. But Vacay Lene had gone on a week-long vacation and blown up so many pounds and felt so sluggish when she came back that regular Lene said, we can't let Vacay Lene do this much damage ever again. And so Vacay Lene has now learned that she can still have some alcohol drinks or whatever, but there's a limit because regular Lene doesn't feel great the next morning like she used to when she was younger.
Yeah.
So 2 drink minimum. So make sure she picks whatever the most fabulous drink that's worth it and add some protein and a good solid meal with some vegetables in there and then have dessert and enjoy like just do a couple of things, which is what you talk about bare minimums. Just do a couple of bare minimums so that when Vacay Lene returns home, she don't leave regular Lene just laid out.
Yeah. Well, and what I think is really important that you didn't mention about vacay Lanee is, and this probably resonates with a lot of other people, is wanting to have fun with your partner because that's how you historically bonded together, right? And so you were worried that if vacay Lanee didn't come out anymore, that he would take it personally or think that you didn't love him anymore, or you were worried about that connection, yeah?
It's a pleasing thing. So it's kind of like a go with the flow or you only live once type of mentality. So to be fair, yeah, my husband was on vacay mode. And please remember too that there's other folks, 2 friends we'd go out on a vacation, they're in that mode. And I'll give you an example right now. If right now I say, shots, like, okay, like, do you want to take a shot? Yes. A little shot of tequila? Yes. Is that what you had intended to do before I said that? No. And it's like, it's like a peer pressure thing. And then especially with my husband, we're like, he's looking at me, he's like, we're on vacation. Like, why are you worrying about this hardcore structure? So there has to be a balance because I don't want to quote unquote ruin the vacation for him or me or my other friends who might be there. But I also don't want or need some of the trappings of it all either.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It was tricky. It's not tricky anymore because I just recently got back from vacation and I think I did great. I within 1 day, I was back on track. And when I say on track, I mean my sleep was back on track. My water intake was back on track. My weight was actually snapped back into place on track. And my vegetable and protein routine and healthy living and eating popped back and stretching too, because
Yeah.
once you're over 50, stretching is a whole thing. I didn't stretch on vacation, but I needed to. But I just popped back. It just all popped back into place, and I was so happy. So it works, and I had loads of fun, but there were certain boundaries that I did keep, and I don't even think my husband noticed the boundaries. That's another good thing.
Okay, I love that. So tell us, how was it different? Can you articulate that?
Oh yeah, like for example, So this was an all-inclusive resort. So you
Mm.
go to breakfast. Most of the breakfast buffets, I hate to say it, have carbs, blueberry muffins, waffle maker, toast, fresh fruits. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is not helpful. So I did the type where you kind of sit down for breakfast and I just ordered eggs and a little fresh fruit and oatmeal and herbal tea and water.
Mhm.
And like, so I got that with the eggs, the protein. I wasn't all carved up. I had the water, the herbal tea, just smoothed things out, kept things moving nicely. And that was how I do the breakfast each day. So already I'm ahead, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And then lunch, because I also used to go on vacation and think like, wow, what if it's like a long time before I get to eat lunch or whatever? So
Mm.
I'd like go crazy. So, but now I'd eat a regular lunch and just believe that even though dinner's going to be a little later than I'm used to, it's going to be okay. I'd pack little protein snacks in my purse. I would not drink any alcohol during the day. I would
Hmm.
save it for my dinner, where I was like, I'm definitely having two. I'm going to pick whichever my favorite two are, and just little things like that, and keep the water. I would kind of keep track of water. You couldn't completely, but kind of keep track of that. Kind of keep track of my rest. It just, it was so smooth. There's so much smoothness to it now. Elizabeth, there's so much smoothness to a lot of things now, because which I know we'll talk about later too, but you taught me to think. Thinking is so underrated. And there's a balance because I don't want to overthink everything. I don't want to be that chick who overthinks, but I don't want to underthink either. So you taught me how to think about, like, when I come back, maybe I'll have an Instacart already ready to drop groceries at my house when I return with all my fresh fruits and vegetables and things that I do on my routine. Um, like, and this is like totally adjacent, but not really. Packing. It's like now I have a whole new way of like packing. I have to go on another trip soon, and so I took all the clothes that were dirty out of the last suitcase, washed them, gently folded them, and put them back in the suitcase, washed and dried so that I can go on the next trip. And my daughter's like, "So that means you're wearing the same clothes?" I was like, "Yeah, they're clean, and these are different people who are going to be on the trip." And so, yes, I'm just, I'm
They're my
just
vacation
learning
clothes, of course.
vacation clothes, vacation mindset, vacation menus, vacation. Like I said, that breakfast too. Breakfast was really a
Yeah.
big one for me because I used to just end up failing at the breakfast buffet because I'd get a blueberry muffin and a piece of toast and a waffle and a French toast. And then I'd wonder why I felt weird the whole day. But it's like all those carbs. But no, there's a way to do everything. That little crazy book, Everything is Figure Outable,
Mm.
is for real. And
Yep.
like if you have somebody like you, Elizabeth, who can help us see certain things, there's a smoothness now.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about that is that you created your own rules. Like, I didn't tell you to do any of that. Like, you figured it all out on your own.
You didn't tell me that, but you suggested that
Mm.
I up my veggies and up my protein.
Mhm.
And you showed me how I could drop in those extra veggies and proteins in each meal.
Mhm.
You helped make me aware of the fact that something about when we get older, alcohol just does not compute the same way it used to when we were younger.
Yeah.
And to go ahead and acknowledge that and then consider making changes, which in my case is that whole 2 drink minimum thing,
Yeah.
and choosing whatever my favorite drink would be, as opposed to like if I'm drinking I think you told me, I'm not sure, but if I'm drinking something and it was just a dud, like, ugh, the bartender messed it up, or don't drink it. Just either send it back or don't send it back, but just don't drink it and save that for something better. You didn't force me to do things, but you recommended very smoothly things that stuck in my head. And then when you'd have me go back and listen to some of the podcasts, that also reinforced it for me and showed it in more ways with other people that you'd worked with and how it was successful for them. And some of those things I could take for myself, and some of those ideas I like, "Oh, okay, maybe that worked for her, but that one's not going to work for me, but I can do this instead."
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, I think that
ways.
when we move into midlife, it becomes more discerning. Like, and what I mean by that is when we're younger and Vacay Lanee comes out, like we we just do it all. But then we realize I could have not had that second dessert, right?
Yep.
It wasn't that good.
Yep.
And so we start to learn and we become more discerning about what is worth it, quote unquote. And so, like with the drink that was made for you that you didn't like, why drink it if you don't like it? And yet we do that all the time.
That's the part where you taught me to think and how important it is to think. Okay, so why would I drink it? Well, I could say because I spent money on it, or because like my husband ordered it for me and thought it would be fun, or because I don't want to make the waiter or waitress or bartender sad. Those are just, I don't care about those reasons anymore.
Yeah.
I'm 50 plus years old. I don't care about that anymore. So then it becomes, I'm just not drinking it. And again, it's up to each individual person if they want to send it back or get their money back or whatever. But to me, that's neither here nor there. It's just, I'm not drinking it. I'm not wasting my joy or my drink or my waistline for that drink.
Yeah.
And that is not talked about really, or I mean, I guess it depends on how people are wired too. There's lots of people out here who are wired like that already, and like, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna drink something I don't want to. But there's a lot of us, especially women, who have a thread of people pleasing that runs throughout. That's kind of like, I don't want to make a fuss of it. I'll just drink it. Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, and so tangentially, let's change topics, but kind of stay on it. People pleasing. Like, I think that it was so incredibly sweet of your husband to come home after a day of you working hard and bring takeout with him.
Yep.
And you were so conflicted because you were like, I have this meal that I'm making, and he would show up with Five Guys or
Yep.
some other.
Something fried or yep. Yep.
Talk about
Yeah.
that.
That one I don't have down pat yet, but
Mm,
it's that gesture. So there's the gesture and the intention behind so he knew I'd had a hard day, and he knew that I'd been kind of eating maybe more boring foods for a while, right? He also knew that I had this goal of getting my body the way I wanted it, but he came home with it, and then it's like, "Okay, what do I do? Do I just go ahead and eat it?" Because to me, this is different than the drink, because the
right.
drink is like, I don't care about the I don't know the bartender or the waiter or waitress. Those are strangers. But this is my husband, and or let's even say that it was like some delicious restaurant that had like fried fish with hush puppies and stuff. 'Cause Five Guys, I could've whatever, but, like, something like that, it's like he took the time, he's like, "And it's fish," which a lot of people are like, "Fish is healthy." I'm like, "But it's fried." I don't have that one down pat yet because in my heart, I'm still like, "Okay, Lene, just sit down with your husband and eat it and enjoy it." But I don't know that fried again, our bodies are different. There is something to be said about how our bodies change and can't quite process certain foods and drinks the way it used to. What do I do? So the best answer I can say is maybe I eat a little bit of it and sit and be pleasant, and then I have my other food that I was gonna eat and eat that still too.
Well, yeah, I think that it's appreciating the gesture, acknowledging it, and then having some, but not going all in and feeling not only regretful of eating the thing, but then feeling overfull because you ate too much of it. And so I love what you just said there is having some, connecting with him because food is such connection and belonging. And
Yes.
so then being able to just manage it from that standpoint, right?
Yeah, and actually that brings to mind that whole concept you taught me about maybe eating a little bit. This was from you say this in the in your posts on like LinkedIn and Instagram, but also
Mhm,
when you spoke with me about eating a little,
mhm.
listening to your body and the cues, knowing when you are full, knowing that you very likely don't want to feel stuffed, overfull, and blah. So you taught me this concept, which interestingly enough, nobody had ever taught me before, of saying, wow, I really would like to like load up one more plateful and scarf it down and smile. And I'm staring at it and it's sitting right there and the temptation is there, but I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to let that feeling just sit there for a bit. And like, even if I take 5 minutes and just feel that way. And you also taught me magically after about 5 minutes and after you have cleared it like mm, out of your line of sight, out of your view, after about 5 minutes, I don't know, somebody texts you or the phone rings or a TV show pops on or somebody rings the doorbell or whatever, or you check an email and you've forgotten all about it. And it's not a big deal anymore. And you made it through the hardest part. And then you don't have that food sitting on your stomach all night. It's like you made it. And a lot of people don't give that 5 minutes, like, kinda get it out of your face, but take that 5 minutes and say, "Yep, this gosh, I really want it. Gosh, this sucks." But just don't act on it. And the more you practice that, the better you get. I know there's these little things on, these little reels on Instagram sometimes of these parents who will tell their kid they have a camera secretly set up and they tell their kid, "Hey, I'm gonna leave this cupcake here, but don't eat it. I'll be right back." And the parent goes away for like a couple minutes, and it's so funny because we're the audience, we can see this through the hidden camera. The kid struggling, like sometimes the kid will like lick it on the top, or or
That's so
sometimes they
mean.
but they're really just it's like it's fun to post or whatever, but really at the heart of it, it is seeing what kind of discipline this kid can have for just a few minutes. It really just takes a few minutes, and then in some cases, the parent goes ahead and lets them have it, but let's say even if the parent took it away, after a few minutes, the temptation is gone and the feeling passes, and it's okay, and you didn't necessarily have to consume it just because of the temptation.
Yeah. Not too long ago, I actually had a experience like that myself where I
Okay.
had ordered my husband went out of town and I ordered Indian food and I ate one plate and I wanted more. And so there was that discomfort of I want more, there's more, but I know that if I eat more, that I will feel worse after I eat it, and I definitely don't wanna feel that. And so being okay with the discomfort of that craving and wanting it, but not giving into it, that was difficult. I remember that night specifically. Yeah.
Which is different from having a plate of the food and actually having a legitimate hunger cue,
Mhm.
like, "Oh boy, I am actually still kind of hungry." And then you figure out what to do about that.
Oh, yeah.
This is this what I'm guessing was the one where you not only were not hungry anymore, it would have absolutely made you feel stuffed and uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the
100%.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one, and that's like I don't get it right 10 out of 10, but I feel like I'm at least 7 or 8 out of 10 times I will go ahead and just take it out of my sight, not eat it, and not worry about it. Or if I'm really trying to, if I'm really feeling tempted, I will try to throw it in the trash and pour water on top, like it's like chips, especially chips. Pour, throw the like dump the bag of chips into the trash and pour water on it and take a, I don't know, like something, a
Coffee grounds.
dirty paper towel, coffee ground, stick it on top. Boom. Then that's like, okay, guess I'm not eating that.
I
Because
love
that's
it.
how hard temptation can be.
Yeah.
Like I am not above going in the trash can if it's still in the bag and the bag was kind of closed.
I
So I've got to mess it up. That's just me. Maybe too much information, but
I don't think you're alone. I don't think you're
yeah.
alone at all. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so what did you have any aha moments, or was there one takeaway from our work together other than what you had just mentioned that really just changed everything for you?
Yes. The aha moment that I had was it kind of circles us all the way back to the beginning again. The more you learn, the more you know, the better you can be, the more, equipment you have to succeed, the more thinking that you do, as long as you don't start going into the area of overthinking,
Yeah.
the better your life will be. I'm just like that is my aha moment for me and anyone who is listening. Thinking, when you sit and think through things, you can save a world of time and a world of hurt by gently thinking through something all the way. It can be some of the most productive time that you spend in this life thinking before you do. Now, I definitely believe in action too. You have to
Sure.
think and then you have to act, but just running off and acting without thinking many times is what gets us into trouble or gets us off track. But reflecting and sitting in like when people say a safe space, even creating a safe space for yourself to think where you're not going to judge yourself, you're not giving yourself negative self-talk, you're not overthinking and overanalyzing and doing analysis paralysis, but you are just gently reflecting and thinking is some of the most productive stuff you can do. It will help you with your finances, it will help you with your relationships, it will help you with your fitness and nutrition and health goals. It will help you even as simple as if you have to go to the bank, the post office, and the grocery store, sit and think for 1 or 2 minutes about what's the best route to do it. And like, well, if you go to the post office before the rush of people after work comes, and you can get that done, and then that's on the way to the grocery store, and then you can end it up at the last one with the you just take your time. Taking your time and doing things slowly and thinking it through is faster than just jumping and doing it. And there's something to be said about all of that with being the best person you can be, with being with the eating component, sitting for just a little bit and thinking about what you want to have your meals looking like, or how you can incorporate a little more protein and vegetables and water into your day will enhance all of your goals. It'll just make your life better. That's my aha. And that's
Well,
because
and
you
yeah,
taught me to
like
think.
I know that you didn't want to do thought your work. You were resistant to doing the thought work because you were afraid that you were going to start over analyzing everything.
Yes.
And I want everyone to understand that when we're talking about thought work, it's really just about becoming aware of why I made the choices that I did. And that awareness is what Lanee is talking about in terms of when you can be intentional about, okay, so the plan was X, but I'm going to do Y. Do I like my reasons for doing Y or not? And just being aware again of why I made that decision so that, yeah, you're again just more intentional. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that in the future, you might make different choices, and there is a beauty, there's an art to it because to your point, yeah, I don't want this to lead to a person analyzing, "Oh my gosh, why did I do this? Why did I do that?" Like, on steroids type of thinking, but just taking a moment to consider why, yeah, why you're doing this or that is it can be very helpful. And unfortunately, I must say that if it feels like you're having trouble with it with that art, then please reach out to Elizabeth Sherman because that is part of what you like. Not like I know you're not a like being a therapist, but it and it is more based on a health component. But there's something really special about what I learned with you from that I didn't expect to have to learn, and it has affected multiple areas of my life, and it has become something that I do in a gentle way, not on overdrive, and it's why I am really on target with my health goals right now, better than I've been in at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm uncovering, I mean, it's yeah, the thought work piece, I'm uncovering new thoughts all the time myself. And so if someone's like, I don't know what you're talking about or reluctant to do it, be aware that I was there when I started all of this stuff. I was unaware of what my thoughts and feelings were. I was just like, well, I guess I'm just a procrastinator. I guess I'm just lazy. I guess I'm just not meant to do this. And so there are techniques that you can learn to help you to not be that way because we are not inherently lazy people. Yeah.
No, that what you said is actually maybe even the most important takeaway of all. Not just why we're doing the things we're doing, but actually what are we saying to ourselves as well? Because that can be uncovered as well. I don't want anyone who's listening to be playing some kind of tape in their head and saying to themselves that they're lazy or that they aren't good. Like uncovering that in itself is important. And if they are thinking some of those things, then that is leading them to do things. That's maybe their why they're doing some things. If you already think, well, I'm lazy and it's pointless, then why would I bother to even try? It becomes a bad circle. And that circle can be broken or rerouted into a straight line that goes up and out in good ways. I just that's why we're talking about stuff like this. This is the kind of stuff I like to talk about. I just really don't want anyone out there continuing on that line if they don't have to. And now that they know they don't have to.
Well, and that's a lot. Let's go back to your podcast for a second. So that's a lot what your podcast talks about, right?
Yes,
Tell us more
we
about your podcast.
oh wow, Imagine Yourself is a podcast that, like I said, it is inspirational. And it is meant to talk about how we want to imagine ourselves in our next season of life. So, if we want to imagine ourselves healthier, wealthier, wiser, better, we take on topics that do talk about mental health, relationships, finances, career work, faith, physical health. We hit on all these different components. Every other week, we've got either an expert coming in or Sandy and myself reflecting on things that we are working on or that we feel that we have pretty much perfected. It is just all about self-improvement. And I know self-improvement and positivity sometimes gets a corny rap lately because it's kind of people are kind of over it as far as hearing about that. But I do believe that there is still so much potential that we have within us to be happier and to live better, live our best lives, live our best selves. And I every time we release a podcast, and me being on this podcast is solely for that purpose. Sometimes I sit and listen to your podcast, or I'll sit and to listen to my own podcast as if I wasn't even on it, and I learn stuff like it's it brings that light bulb because sometimes you do need to expand what you're learning and what you're hearing from. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was just writing about this on social the other day. I took a journal writing class in high school,
okay.
and the teacher doesn't know it, but she completely changed my life because a lot of the techniques that I do with my clients are actually techniques and tools that I actually learned from her. One of the biggest was visualization. And so when you're talking about imagine yourself, I am a firm believer that if I can visualize something, if I can imagine myself doing something, then that means that it's in alignment with something that I want. It's achievable for me. And that has been a running mindset in my entire life, that if I can imagine it, I can achieve it.
We have to have you now on Imagine Yourself podcast to talk about that exact topic because as much as that's the title of our podcast, I've never had it or heard it verbalized that way. And I think you have just hit on something phenomenal that there are folks right now who need, including me, who need to let that hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you please be on our podcast and talk
Yes,
about
of
that like as
course.
a whole episode about visualization and really imagining it. And then that makes all the difference. And even the part about God bless her, your teacher. I knew you got to find her
I know,
and
right?
reunite
I
her.
don't even remember her name. I remember what she looks like, but
Oh, but you don't remember. Oh my gosh. So you can't look. Okay. So it's harder to find her. But like that is critical. That is just critical. I have not had anyone really teach me the art of visualization.
Mm,
And that may be yet another missing piece. That's what I said. We just keep learning and growing no matter what age we are. That is, yeah, I like that.
yeah.
I need help with that because that one I did not have that teacher.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on here. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listener?
The only thing I can think of after all of this is just really kind of keeping our ears and eyes open for ways that we can be helped. I'm a very faith-filled person, so I do believe that God is sending nudges and information and almost like pretend billboards to us sometimes that we if we're not careful, we're not aware that we pass by the billboard that would have really solved the question of so many problems. So I do just want to say that because that's a part of me so much that whether a person's faith-filled or not, but especially if they are, just really take some quiet moments to look around and listen for those wonderful nudges that will lead you in the right direction and the right path and to people that can help like Elizabeth or to things that will just enhance our lives. That's all. That's all I know.
Thank you for being on the episode today and sharing your amazing wisdom.
Thank you for having me and don't forget to come on Imagine Yourself.
Yes. And don't
But yes,
forget to listen to Imagine Yourself. We'll definitely put
perfect.
that in the show notes for sure.
Thank you. Thanks for having me though, for real. Truly, and for helping me in all the many ways of my thought life and my body life and my health life. Thank you. I love you. You too.
Oh my goodness. I just love her. Wasn't that just an amazing conversation with Lanee? It was so, I don't know, grounding. I love how she reminded us that real change isn't about being perfect. It's about thinking differently. It's about asking better questions. And it's about becoming the kind of woman who can trust herself with food, rest, time, and pleasure, all without a bunch of drama. Now, if you found yourself nodding along or even thinking, I want that kind of ease too, I want you to know that it is possible and you don't have to do it alone. And this is exactly the kind of work that I do with my clients every single day. We figure out what works for your real life, not someone else's ideal version of it. So if you're curious what that might look like for you, I want to invite you to book an I Know What to Do, I'm Just Not Doing It strategy call with me. The link is in the show notes. And if you loved hearing from Lanee, go check out her podcast, the Imagine Yourself podcast. She and her co-host Sandy are thoughtful, wise, and just so good at creating the kinds of conversations that we need more of in midlife. So thank you for being here with me today. Have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Hey, so if you've been nodding along and thinking, okay, I know what to do, Elizabeth, I'm just not doing it, I have got something for you. It's my free podcast listener's guide. It's a curated roadmap to help you get started with the most helpful episodes based on exactly what you need right now. Go to elizabethsherman.com/roadmap and take the guesswork out of where to begin with the Total Health and Midlife Podcast.